Everybody. This is Edward from teethernottools.com. It is so glad to see you guys again. So, it's been a while since I made a video last month. We missed our video opportunity. But you know what? We're here right now. And not only am I here right now, I'm here right now in full force. So we have a special guest with us today. So we're going to be talking about dental marketing. But these topics, once again, can be used for just general marketing. But we're going to be talking about how to connect with your customers when they have a diagnosis with cancer. So for us, joining us today, we have Miss Lena Stutz, and I'll bring her on in just a moment. So the reason why we have this channel is so that way we can provide you guys with some amazing and fascinating things in terms of marketing, and to connect you, find ways that you guys can connect with your customers, with your patients, such that you can grow your business. A lot of times we don't have access to these tools, and I hopefully am providing value via this podcast. If you have the opportunity, go ahead and check us out at teethernottools.com. That's teethernottools.com. I'm like out of practice here. Oh my gosh. But it's at teethernottools.com, and the label is here in the description below. All right. So without further ado, I'm introducing my special guest for today, Lena Stutz.
Hey.
Hello, Lena.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us today. So Lena and I had met a while back, almost a year ago during the pandemic, and we've been in contact for a little bit. She's an amazing, phenomenal connector in the community. So it doesn't matter where you are, Lena is that phenomenal person. So Lena, if you would, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, great. You got 20 minutes. Just kidding, just kidding. I am a connector on LinkedIn. I am very involved in LinkedIn as far as like helping people navigate that. But I also work in supply chain in my day life. And then I also am a facilitator for Main Street Ministries for a program called Getting Ahead and Just Getting by World. Those are my three top things that I do pretty regularly. So, and then other than that, I'm just hitting 5-year, almost 5-year cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor this week. So originally from like original diagnosis. So yeah, thank you for having me here.
Wow. 5 years. Well, first of all, congratulations. I know that's a trying time for you and your family. So absolutely congratulations on that. So I guess that's a good segue into our topic as it is at hand. So one of the things that we kind of dread hearing is, it's the last thing we want to hear is, I need to have a conversation with you with your doctor, and then you get some sort of diagnosis. And so the diagnosis that we're talking about on this call, once again, is cancer. Now, cancer is a life-changing event. It's something that can affect us in more ways than we can ever imagine. And Lena is just going to talk to us from a patient's perspective in terms of how to communicate with someone that is going through a diagnosis. There's so many different things going around. And then, in terms of those diagnoses, the world does not end. You still have to get services. You still have to get your dental checkups. You still have to get your wellness exams, just as much as a normal person would, but it has to come in a different manner. So, so Lena, I guess if you can help us out, in terms of the conversation from a mindset perspective.
Oh gosh. Well, one is that you mean from diagnosis, Edward?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that it's easy to say you have to think the best, not the worst, and it's a lot harder to do. But the more you have people that are either have gone through the experience and are in a good place, or your family, It's kind of getting a few core people that you'll be able to talk through how you're really feeling, and then be able to kind of establish, like, how do I want to feel about this, right? Because the better I mentally think I'm, and believe that I'm going to be able to move through this, I'm going to be able to be informed and know, listen to the doctors, kind of vet that, kind of go through the process depending on what all treatments and different things that have to happen. And so the sooner you kind of take that and say, the only thing that changed from yesterday is that I've got a diagnosis of something, and I've still got to manage, and I've still got to decide to get up, and I've still got a lot of things I've got to. So the more you can face that in the sense of, uh, hey, I get to, and that can sound kind of odd, nobody is ever thankful to get cancer or any disease, but I get to get up. I get to decide that I'm going to think pretty good about this. I get to take this day and be thankful for the friends, family, or the doctors, or all of the things that are going to be required in this journey. I get to decide how I feel about it. And the more I can tell my mind, I feel pretty okay with knowing that I'm going to be well cared for. I know to ask questions. All those things will change and affect your mindset. And as soon as you kind of can step into that, the better for your whole body. I can tell you, just from um, the brutality of treatment and everything, the better your mind is, the better your body can handle it.
Wow, that's amazing. Did the diagnosis of cancer change your, I guess, your perspective on health? Like, I can imagine that. So, like you said, you're going through, nothing changes other than you got a diagnosis. But in terms of like some of the things, did you say, you know what, I'm gonna, these ads are not relevant for me, or these ads are insensitive, or yes, I never noticed these type of communications to someone like me, and it really resonates with me. Did you have any of those type of experiences?
I think somewhat. I think the speaking of ads, right? The just generic ads on TV, for treatment and things like that. A lot of times they are they're non-specific, and it always, I think it's got a little bit too much of the um, I don't even know how to explain it. I know that there for a while, it would just make me aggravated, because it always made it look as people were just fine. They weren't, they took their whatever kind of medication, right? And they were on a bike the next day and jogging 5 miles and all the things. And it's just not like that typically, And so I think, and those ads don't talk about all the truth. I mean, it's like this blurb of side effects, right, Edward? And then it's just kind of like, oh, okay. But people still have no idea what all that's about. The regular public, it's just an ad. I don't even see the point of those ads, quite honestly. I know that, like, it's supposed to be beneficial to say, oh, we've got new treatments, but how far are they proving it, and where's the real people? Those are all actors in it. So I kind of not a fan afterwards, because I know so much more about the truth of it. And I would just say, don't don't believe but half of the ads that you see on TV. There's just a lot more real people that could be more realistic when it comes to, I feel like, advertising that stuff. Personal
Okay.
opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I can imagine that the ads, there's people sitting in a room, they may or may not be close to the disease, and depending on what their situation is, it could create some content out there that may be um, not as sensitive or relevant. So in terms of, I guess, mindset, since we're talking about mindset, what are some of the things that are coming at you from mindset? Like, were you more tired? Was there more stress? And was it a lot going on in terms of the disease? And I'm asking this just in terms of perspective of communication, because it's like, how do you actually approach someone that has that's going through this situation, marketing aside, even just friends and
Yeah.
family?
Yeah. Oh man, I love that question, and thank you. Thank you so much for it like being a question, because I think one of the worst things you can ever say is it's going to be okay. Don't ever say that, because you don't know. And also because that's not what anyone wants to hear after they've had that diagnosis. The truth is it can be very difficult on family and friends to accept and to walk through. And so the combination is, as the person being diagnosed is being able to be pretty honest about how you're feeling. It's like, I feel like I don't know where I'm, which way to go. I feel like, all the things at the beginning of diagnosis, as you go through treatment, depending on what that treatment is. I had chemo and radiation. The chemo was brutal, but mostly because I was just tired, and went through the hair loss, went through all the things, but also always felt like I had to be strong and in the best um, mood and the best everything for the people around me. It was like I was accommodating them and feeling kind of not accommodated for the way I felt. Although in some ways that probably kicked my butt and made me, you know, fight and deal with it better. But I think from the other part is it's hard on the families because they're hurting for you. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to approach it. So trying to say, hey, let's have a real conversation. Put all the things that you feel about this. Are you comfortable? It's a two-way conversation of saying, are you comfortable talking about the details of what's going to go on here in the diagnosis, in the treatments, because some people are not, it gives them anxiety. They start thinking about themselves. What if I got this? And that's okay. I think we have to be sensitive to each other and say, hey, Edward, my friend, I got this and this just happened. Hey, can I talk to you about it? But, are you in a place to be okay for me to talk about this, because some of it, might be a little brutal, and I really need someone to talk to. And I'm okay if you're not, if that's something you're not comfortable with, right? And that shouldn't impact your friendship or your family relationships. But the more honest we're about that, I think the better. And then that person's going to know it's like, hey, there's other things you can do. Maybe it's not to have that deep conversation. Maybe it's more like, I need socks because my feet are cold, because they get cold every time I get a treatment. And you send me some socks, right? There's just so many more ways we can approach the same problem, but we have to really be okay with talking about it, and finding the people that are the best, maybe in levels, however like look at that, is who can manage that, how you feel about it and how they feel about it, so that if you need to call somebody in the middle of the night and go, I, whatever, right? I am just a mess, or I can't sleep because I'm so high on steroids. I can't see straight. All the things that these things happen, but you don't want to call somebody in the middle of the night that's not their gift, right? And their best way to be with you and to care about you. So I think that's part of it. Hope that wasn't too much.
No, no, no. I think that's really good stuff. And I was listening to about what you're saying, like even about the socks and making suggestions. I kind of feel based on our relationship, and then based on the conversation, that you tend to be more independent in terms of function and action. There are some people out there that may not be as independent, and they may depend on someone, be it a spouse or BFF, or somebody like that, and they may not be as receptive. Here's some socks. It's like, why'd you give me socks? And things like that. Um, in terms of those situations, do you think that more or less, um, showing empathy helps, or do you go about it directly or indirectly? What would you say is, in your experience, is the best approach to talk to someone?
I think empathy is perfect. I think by saying, I can't imagine how you're feeling. Do you want to talk about it? Um, you know, depending on, who's talking to you, but it's just a matter of not telling someone they're going to be okay. It's just the worst thing you can say to someone that has been diagnosed with cancer, because we deal with this for the rest of our lives. I don't know why, but I've surveyed, and that's kind of like, don't say that. Other than that, just say, I can't imagine how you're feeling, or how are you feeling, and, are there things that you need? Let's go back to the socks. It's like, are there things that you would like to have or have heard that will be helpful for you? Is there something that you need help with? And there's people that all the way down to meals, right, that they would need, or things like that. So, or maybe you have a friend or of a group, especially support groups. I was a part of and still involved in that group. Um, that really made a big difference, because then you talk to people that are going with it with you. They're in their own spot in the journey, but those are the people that you can really have some other kinds of conversations with as you're traversing all these things that are happening. And so the people that are outside of that group, now you can almost go back to them and go, yeah, our group, we talked about this, or, it can bring other conversations about, or the ability for you to feel comfortable asking more questions, and kind of, through that empathy going, does that make you feel better going to those groups? When does your treatment start? What does that entail? All the things. I think just that approach of kindness is great. Um, I mean, I actually had people that contacted me, and at once I started got was starting on chemo, and I didn't put it out there publicly. I didn't do anything on social media. I was embarrassed that I had cancer. I didn't really know how to. I didn't know how to navigate it. It took a while, but those between the support group, family, friends, I mean, I was certainly was able to manage and kind of get a hold of it, and then kind of and really get a better a great outlook, a good positive way to kind of deal with it, most of the time. Certainly not perfect, but there were those people that actually, if they just heard, would send me a message and go, I can't believe you're just going to poison yourself. And
Wow. Wow.
yeah, yeah. And I say that because I know that there's still people that say that, and it's like, the, what in the world, Um, and so I think just when we start to treat each other in kindness as a human, start there, and then move your way up, right? And then into empathy of something that you may not understand, or may not understand why people make the choices they do of whatever treatments it is, right?
Right.
So
No. So wow, I think that's every word that you're saying. I'm just listening to it because I think it's so powerful to hear it from someone who's actually been uh, through the experience. It definitely changes perspective, and everybody's situation is unique. So we all know someone that's gone through this, and everybody's experience is a little bit different. So thank you for sharing that. For um, so in terms of, I guess, um, dealing with this disease, there's like you mentioned before, that you still have to go about life, you still have to go about living, and then in terms of, I guess, someone like me as a marketer, so like you mentioned those commercials that aren't really relevant, they just list a whole bunch of things. We all know these commercials. um, they all end up with the last part, and in rare cases may include death. It's like,
yeah, yeah.
it's like, geez, thanks. Um,
Mm, oh,
so,
yeah.
so yeah. Sorry.
No, it's true. And they should have somebody skipping right after that. May include that. Dee-lee-lee-lee,
I'm singing over it. First. It's like, can we mute that part out, please? Just put the words. We don't even need the words. Let's just,
Yeah,
for more information,
yeah,
see our website.
yeah.
But so as a marketer, from my perspective, should I even communicate? So yes, you mentioned empathy and caring. Should I communicate any differently at all? Then, like, do I show different images, or do I show the same images that I would a person that's not going through the disease? Do I befriend you and say we're going through this together, or do I say, let me just show them the possibilities of what tomorrow may bring? What, as a marketer, how should we approach somebody in your opinion?
Oh gosh. I don't think it's befriending. I think it's just more of exactly what you said is that you acknowledged right away that it is an individual disease, in the sense that it happens to people differently. They manage it differently. Um, there's I don't even know how many different variations of cancer there is. So there's to encompass that. I mean, certainly you can market towards particular ones, right? Like, you know, um, all the biggies. You can market towards those, and but not being the same old Edward. Like for breast cancer, it's always the pink ribbon and the yay and the warrior and all that, and which is great. But on the other side of that, saying we understand you're an individual, and everyone can't run the race up the mountain. So if you have something that kind of treks with people to treat them as individuals, I think that's what makes a difference. What you display, maybe. I don't know if you display stages. I don't know what that would be, except to just be really great about acknowledging that people are individuals. So it all can be a different outcome. It can be different treatment plans. There's different stages. There's different forms and types of cancer within the top level of cancer, and then on down. So not having to try to encompass all that, I think, is the greatest thing for a marketer. Just saying, I realize that there's a lot to this. Um, oh, I'm
So let
on to
me let,
something.
let me ask you this question, and I don't mean to interrupt
That's
you
pretty good,
like that.
actually.
So it's like, do you even care? So, like, we know that brushing teeth is important. It's like brushing teeth is important for every stage of your life. But do you even care? They're like, you know what? If I ever see another commercial about brushing my teeth, I'm just gonna like throw the remote at the TV. Like, is it something that these type of marketing advertisements that you even thought about, or did someone, one of your people in your circle, saw this and said, you know what? That's important. I didn't even think about that. We need to get some special shoes over for Lena because she's dealing with this,
Yeah.
like,
I think, yeah, for sure. For especially like if it's what is it? You know, non-specific. Like if it's, there's cancer, and then there's all the things that are impacted, right? And speaking of teeth, your teeth are severely impacted. One of the first things you do is, before you start treatment, is your doctor wants you to go to the dentist.
wow, I didn't
Um,
know that.
it-
Okay.
exactly. Most people don't know that. And the other thing they don't know, even if they get diagnosed, they might still go, well, I don't want to deal with that. Deal with it. Go. Go to your dentist, get that baseline, get all your good cleanings, make sure everything's kind of in great shape, because then they don't want a lot of things going on in your mouth while you're going through chemo, because um, bleeding, all these other things. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just going to tell you what they told me,
Hmm.
bleeding and infection and different things. So they didn't want you to get a cleaning or things like that. I mean, if you had an emergency, but they really wanted you to start out before you start any treatment, go get those things done, whatever you were going to get done. But even if you're only on like that, say 5 month of the 6 month for the cleaning, go get it done, because you could be several months out after chemo, and then keep in touch with your dentist. And if you've got significant bleeding, you want to have that dentist know exactly what you're going through, because they will know how to treat you. They will, many times, when I went to the dentist afterwards, they were, very particular and extra careful, right? Because they want to make sure for bleeding and things like that. So I think it's really, really important. And it's a great message to get out, because after all of those treatments, you also can have pretty significant issues with your teeth. You can have problems with gums. Your teeth can get loose. There can be a lot of things happen, and they may not. But if your dentist is tracking along with you, that treatment can happen like as soon, in conjunction or as soon as your chemo is done or whatever those things are done. It's really important. And if you establish that, now you've got a great relationship. You can make sure that your doctor and you like, hey, this is my dentist, and I want you to communicate. You can be adamant about that because it's your body, and you should be able to tell your doctor you want them to talk to another doctor, and that is your dentist, because your teeth affect everything from bacteria, right? So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
in terms of gateway, the doctor was a good gateway in terms of conversation, for the doctor telling you to see the dentist, as opposed to say, oh yeah, look at these ads on TV. Yeah, maybe I should go to the dentist. It's like there's these irrelevant ads. Um, so I think that's a really good tidbit. Did you so like when the doctor mentioned going to the dentist, did he have any suggestions when you went, or was it just like, um, I need you to talk to your dentist and tell him this? Like, what was that experience like?
No, it was just more of like you go ahead and get all of your checkup, your cleaning, any of those things. If you were in needed a procedure, kind of thing, and it could be done, like say you had a need a fill in or something like that, you need to go ahead and get that done. Um, then, you know. So, but my question, like, I don't know if every doctor does tell their patients that. So when you talk about advertisement, why not have someone telling you that that's what you should do? Because I don't know if they're always told to do that. I was fortunate. I had a very excellent doctor that wanted to make sure everything was good to go. But it's just a good thing to know, because you really are going to really, really need it after the fact. So the better you take care of it and get everything done, all healthy mouth before you start, the better.
Wow, wow.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't mean to be an advertisement.
it's great. I mean, it's really good information, because it's like, that's the whole reason why we have the session, is to find out the mechanisms, the wheres and the whys and the hows. And that was a good tidbit right there. So I mean, those of you guys that are dentists out there that are listening to this podcast, your doctor buddies and the MDs, not the DMDs, but the MDs, talk to them. And in terms of referrals and that sort of thing, maybe it's a good opportunity to show up at some of those events and speak on those particular topics, and direct some of those conversations both ways, across the different business areas, or medical areas rather, if you would. And then also I have to which I didn't mention before, is, but in terms of the space and the perspective that we typically come to with our clients, um most people are in the space not to get rich. They're in the space, in the medical space, dentists, because they care. They care about people's teeth, and there's a lot of empathy. And even with the teams that you deal with, when you go into your cosmetic dental practice, you'll know right away if someone's there for you genuinely, or if they're there about the money. So, but like I said, the majority of people that are in the space, at least that I've interacted with, they're there because they care. And so in terms of the approach that we're attempting to take, it's not from a monetary perspective. It's
Yeah.
it's to ensure that we're providing appropriate care and
Mhm.
appropriate value. So I guess, along those lines, in terms of communication, and specifically since we're going through the digital platform and in the digital space, I can imagine at this point, like initially when with your diagnosis, like you and Google were best friends, in terms
Uh-huh.
of research and approach and finding contacts.
Mhm.
But also, I guess in terms of that, there's other platforms out there in terms of communication. And I'm saying this in a long-winded way to say in terms of platforms which are ideal for someone that's going through this disease. What would you say is an ideal platform, and how should the platform be leveraged to communicate with someone such that they need to come in for a dentist appointment?
Um, Gosh. Well, I would definitely say Google, because we all are on Dr. Google, and and if
Dr. Google.
Google, yeah, in this case, Dr. Dentist Google, is that it would probably be something they could add in, however, SEO, or keywords about cancer care, oral cancer care or something like that, so that people would know that they can acknowledge that. And then the other thing, I think maybe it would be helpful to have, we're all fascinated with social media, the Insta and the Instagram, TikTok, all the things. So, I mean, just keep talking about it. Maybe some dentists could do like a little quick Instagram thing. Say, hey, did you know that you're supposed to come see me before have you been recently diagnosed? There's even if they've been diagnosed, even if they've started treatment, doesn't mean they can't be seen. They just have to make sure that they're walking with the doctor to be really careful. So it's important, to know that there's dentists out there that want to do that journey and have some experience with it. And I think the more that you get that warm fuzzy from them is wonderful, right? And unfortunately, that's how we learn a lot of things anymore. Instead of directly from our doctors, we learn it online. So I think just putting more presence out there in social media and put it in their keywords. And is it keywords, Edward? You're the Google king.
Yeah, yes, yeah, we use so there's a couple, yeah, we use keywords
Yeah,
so the articles
yeah,
show up higher, right? Blog posts,
yeah, all
um,
that.
stuff like that. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that would be really helpful. But I don't think it's talked about. So dentists that decide to start talking about it, I think it'd be fantastic.
Okay, so it's not a taboo topic. If
No,
yeah.
no, I think it would be very, very helpful, because then people might want to start asking questions. They may have concerns that they didn't bring up, or not realize that, all the detriments that happen with, I mean, chemo is like, it's the beast. It's called one of the ones I had was called the Red Devil. That should give you enough of
Wow.
a name to just tell you. So just imagine what it does to your whole body as it's fighting. But that you can have a lot of things happen from teeth and loose teeth and gums and all that. And so what a great thing to have a dentist that's going to help you get healthier afterwards and get your mouth in better health. Because the quicker you do it, I feel like the quicker it can be salvaged and, really get back to a good, healthy spot.
That's a lot of things. Yes. And this is
Sorry.
not medical advice for those of you guys out there. This is just her experience. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's yeah, Dr. Google. Yes. I'm Dr. Google.
I
Google.
know. Oh, sorry. I know. Get on the roll.
No, it's great information. So,
Yeah.
like in terms of your journey, with like your oral health and taking care of that, did you get the majority of your information from your care provider? Like, were you lucky and blessed to have that as part of your package, or did you happen to stumble upon some content online and was like, oh wow, maybe I should look into this? Or did you have to see the dentist any more frequently or less frequently as a result of the treatment or the ongoing treatment?
More frequently. And also, I didn't know that there were dentists that were very familiar with um, the care afterwards. I actually did experience one that did not have experience with it, and so I ended up going somewhere else, and that was fine.
Mhm.
And by doing that, though, then I was on a much better care plan, and yes, I had to go more frequently at first. I'm at that 5 year mark, so I'm, in a lot better place. But I had to go a lot more frequently. I still have it's certainly not the same as they were before, but I'm certainly glad to have regained a lot of health and that kind of thing because of going. Hmm.
Wow. 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 That's good information. So I guess while we're going through or while someone is going through the treatment and the care plan, I guess there's a lot, like even just based on our conversation, our short conversation right now, there's a lot going through your mind, as I can imagine. um, uh, in terms of, I guess, communication, should or could a healthcare provider communicate or advertise to, let's say, the proxy as opposed to the patient themselves?
I would think so. It sounds like I would certainly think so.
Like, yeah. So like if my significant other happened to
Uh-huh.
be going through a situation, the ads that I would see would be relevant to, is your significant other going through this?
Yeah.
We have resources. Okay. Okay.
I think that's actually great. I think it's a great idea because uh, it- how much do you ingest of information on your own? Being the person that's having to take it all in and not having, if you have that significant other, best friend, or all of that, anybody, sister, anybody that says, "Hey, did you know?" There's nothing bad about that. That's a good thing. It takes a group to help, walk through that process. So you can't know everything. I think that's actually a great idea. Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay.
Mhm.
You hear that, guys? That's a great idea. It
Yeah.
came straight from Lena.
I am the guru over here somehow.
You are the guru, Lena. Absolutely.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
Like the
so
queen of
I
giggles.
no, this is great stuff. I'm
Good.
not even going to detract from that even a little bit. That is amazing.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so I guess um, in terms of, I guess, communications to the proxy, I'm just going through our list. So I
Mhm,
can imagine maybe some sort of sponsored events, where you have like a health fair or awareness fair. That could be a great opportunity. Maybe
mhm,
some blogs on your website, or
mhm.
or some similar resources, some even some maybe some wellness check-in calls, depending on the situation or relationship. I can
Oh,
imagine that some people would miss their appointments, or some people. One of the things that dentists, a lot of dentists do, are, which most people don't realize as part of the treatment package, is oral health screenings. But so they can detect oral cancer. But certainly, like you mentioned, Lena, they can help keep your teeth healthy in many other situations other than just oral cancer. And then in terms of, I guess, just general communication, maybe like offage signage and things like that. Um, okay. I think you have some really good information. So I think in terms of some of the other items, I guess, are cosmetic dental practices and a lot of business in general. They have these amazing things called websites,
yep.
and I kind of treat our clients' websites as a member of their team, because it literally is. It doesn't take any sick days. It doesn't. It does exactly what you want us to do. It's literally like the perfect employee, and as a result, the websites themselves can be leveraged as communication mechanisms as well. So in terms of um, putting out information in the form of blogs or in the form of scheduling events, like we mentioned before, um, giveaways. I know we mentioned like the pink ribbons, but certainly giveaways are certain things that you can do as part of leveraging your website for your community, and then also donations. I mean, donations can come in the form of meals,
Mhm.
and I think those are super helpful. I mean, our family's been part of meal trains for different situations, and I can tell you how amazing it is. You know, for anything from having a baby to breaking an arm or breaking a leg, it goes a long way. So I can just imagine in this situation. Any other things that you would like highlight or mention that we can leverage?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like just maybe do send like the care basket or the with the the miniature toothpaste and everything and things that are for for likely very likely sensitive um teeth at the time. And you know and I think fundraisers are a great idea because, is there a way to do a little bit of fundraising towards the cost of their care,
Oh wow,
in
yeah,
a give back? Because a lot of times we know, unfortunately, people will avoid going to the dentist because of a financial burden. And it's just the worst thing you can avoid doing because the end result is like, even if you're perfectly healthy, right? Like you don't want to do that. But so if there's like a scholarship or fundraisers that help go towards those, as you acknowledge people in your practice, that maybe you acknowledge people that are, them or their, um, would you call it proxy, their
proxy, yeah.
person, their closest person, and or child, that there's a way to do something special just depending on the circumstances. And, I mean, I'm sure that can vary greatly, but I think that could be just go a long ways. And, right down to what you said, Edward, as a phone call to check and see how is it going? How are you doing? We didn't see you today. How are you feeling? Are you okay? Should we reschedule now? I think there's ways to just know that, oh, this doctor cares about me. I'm not number 477 on their daily schedule. Awesome. It just goes a really long way.
Wow, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I think those are some amazing ideas, Lena, and definitely we'll be putting some of those into our bag of tricks. So,
Cool.
um, but yeah, so I guess we're almost at the end of time. We're about to wrap up, but before I wrapped up, was there anything else that you think is relevant that we missed on this particular episode? That you think is like I don't believe Edward didn't say this. Yeah,
uh Gosh, no, I think it was great. I hope I didn't say anything too terrible. I would just say, it's cancer's not the end of the world. I mean, regardless, like anything can, from a life threatening kind of thing. So you kind of just got to approach it in your best spirit. And like we really need to do everything, quite honestly. It can't just be about a disease. It has to be back to your very beginning in the mindset. And I will say I'm thankful more than I've ever been on a regular basis. So I would encourage, before you get a diagnosis, is go ahead and be thankful, every day for everything. Um, not in a cheesy way, just in a general way, and go, daggone, I got to go up today, get up today. Woof, that's good. It's a good way to start off, So that's what I got for you.
absolutely. Well, Lena, again, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up on my podcast and providing us with some amazing tidbit. Actually, you were our first my first co-guest on this particular format. So thank you again for that.
Yeah,
Hopefully I did a good enough job as a host for your amazing and super important topic.
you're
And
the best. You know
thank
that. And my Houston friends. So I'm so honored to get the chance. Thank you so much for having me.
pleasure's all mine. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Lena Stutes, and I will see you guys all next video. Thank you guys. If you have any comments for Lena, feel free to reach out to me, DM me. Lena is also on LinkedIn, so you can DM her there. And I will see you all next video. Take care.